What's up, everyone? Welcome back down to Ice Level. As always, I'm your host, James Blennau. This week, we have news, we have highlights, we have standings, we have everything you need to catch up from this past weekend in college puck. But before we do, let's get into an important piece of news for everybody across this great sport. The U.S. Collegiate Select Spengler Cup team announced its next 5 players on Thursday. Penn State's Charlie Serrato, Michigan's DJ Hughes, Notre Dame's Danny Nelson and Cole Knubel, and Denver's Eric Polkamp all joined the squad for this winter's tournament. The team also automatically invited all returning AHCA first and second team All-Americans, with the remaining players selected by the coaching staff with help from NHL scouts, according to USCHO. Guy Godowski's team will first face Team Canada on December 26th to open up group play in the tournament. Top 5 matchup in Beantown, Spartans at Terriers on Saturday night. Number 3 versus number 1. We start in the third period with Michigan State up 2-0. Just 2 minutes in, Gavin McCarthy off the one-timer opens the Terriers scoring. BU cuts the lead to 2-1 late. But almost a minute later, Porter Martone intercepts the pass and Tony Manisto finishes it in front. Spartans regain a 2-goal lead. With 7 to go now, Kamil Bednarik jumps the pass himself and scores on a shorthanded breakaway. Spartans lead 3-2. 2 minutes later, Conrad Fondrick redirects a bomb from Sasha Boumediene. Momentum swing as the Terriers tie it at 3. Now in overtime, a wild sequence. Cole Iserman's shot trickles by but not completely across the line, and Matt Bagzall scores on the 2-on-1 from Riker Lee. What a finish. You cannot write this any better. Spartans win a thrilling 4-3 overtime game off the captain's game winner. Michigan State takes the weekend sweep with the win. The upsets just keep on coming, and this week's pick stuck out as soon as it went final. Lindenwood, in only its third home game of the season, beat the number 5 Denver Pioneers 4-3. Friday night's win saw 4 different Lions goal scorers and 9 players with a point. Drew Kuzma, the senior forward, helped the Lions in the game with 3 blocked shots and a +1 rating on the night in a full team win under rookie head coach Keith Fisher. Lindenwood faces undefeated Miami next week at home in the Red Hawks' final non-conference series. Over in Atlantic Hockey America, RIT took its first win of the season 6-2 stunningly over a wildly inconsistent Clarkson team. After splitting a series at Penn State last weekend, the Golden Knights looked primed to make a run, but ran into a red-hot Tigers offense. The 10,000 plus in attendance at Blue Cross Arena for homecoming were not disappointed, with new head coach Matt Thomas's team with 6 different goal scorers, including Simon Isabel, who also finished with 2 assists and 2 blocked shots in his performance. Let's see how everyone else played this weekend around the AHA standings. Canisius finishes the weekend in first at 5-2-0, followed by Sacred Heart at 2-1-0 and Holy Cross at 1-3-0. Army at a 2-1-1 overall, followed by Niagara at 3-2-0 and Air Force at 1-2-1. RIT with their sole win over Clarkson, Bentley winless, as well as Mercyhurst and Robert Morris also winless. In the big-time Big Ten, both number 13 Minnesota and number 16 Ohio State split their ranked series over the weekend. The Gophers took Game 2 in a dominant 5-1 win over rivals number 8 North Dakota. Veteran forward Brody Lamb finished the game with 2 goals and an assist to take 3 points from the weekend. Meanwhile, back east, Ohio State took Game 2 at Peoples Bank Arena 4-2 over number 12 UConn. Riley Thompson scored the unassisted game winner in a third-period net front scramble. Now let's see where the win puts the Buckeyes and their rivals in the Big Ten standings. Michigan takes first place with a 6-0-0 record, followed by Penn State with a strong 5-1-0, and Michigan State and Ohio State both at 3-1-0. Wisconsin without any total losses at 2-0-2, followed by Notre Dame at 2-2-0, and surprisingly Minnesota at the bottom at 2-3-1. Over to the CCHA, Augustana's on a 3-game win streak now after sweeping number 15 Arizona State this weekend. The home opening series saw a 4-2 and 5-2 win on Friday and Saturday, with Friday's win coming off of 4 unanswered goals after the Sun Devils went up 2-0 in the first period. The Vikings defense held strong throughout the weekend, only letting up 48 shots across both games to goaltender Josh Kotai. Let's see if anyone else is as hot as Augie after this weekend in the CCHA standings. With no conference games played so far, Augie sits in first at 3-1-0, with Bemidji State at 2-4-0. Bowling Green winless through 2, and Ferris State with that lone win over Western Michigan. Lake State and Northern Michigan both at 500. Minnesota State at 1-1-2. Northern Michigan winless on the year, and St. Thomas at 2-3-0. Back east in ECAC hockey, number 10 Quinnipiac took a shootout win and a shutout win over number 7 Maine in its home opening series on Alumni Weekend. Friday night's draw saw a 3-goal comeback by the Bobcats after the Black Bears went up 4-1 halfway through. Jeremy Wilmer's game-tying goal with 2 minutes left turned the student section into a zoo, while freshman forward Ethan Wittenbach scored the shootout winner, with junior goaltender Matej Marinov saving all 3 main attempts, swinging the momentum back to the Bobcats going into Game 2. As non-conference play continues and the Ivies slowly begin their seasons, let's check out this week's ECAC hockey standings. Union sits alone atop the table at 4-0-1, followed by Quinnipiac with 1 loss at 3-1-1. Colgate at 1-2-1, followed by Clarkson with 1-3-0 record, that 1 win coming against Penn State. Their rivals St. Lawrence at 1-5-0. Brown, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Princeton, and Yale with no games played yet. And RPI at a winless 0-4-0. In the Hockey East, Northeastern picked up its first road win of the season in style. The Huskies dismantled number 11 UMass at Mullins Center on Friday night 4-2. Never losing the lead, the team saw 9 different skaters on the score sheet, with freshman forward Giacomo Martino scoring his first game-winning goal over the Minutemen in the late second period. With multiple ranked teams across the conference losing this weekend, let's check out this week's Hockey East standings. Merrimack sits atop the table at 2-1-0, followed by Northeastern, also at 2-1-0. UMass Lowell follows the Huskies at 1-3-0, followed by Boston College at 2-1-1, with rivals Boston University at 2-2-1 just below. Maine sits just below BU at 2-1-1, followed by UMass at 4-1-0, New Hampshire at 1-2-0, Providence also at 1-2-0, UConn at 2-2-0, and Vermont also at 2-2-0. Finally, in the NCHC, it was a quiet week in terms of big wins, with North Dakota and Denver splitting their series, but number 2 Western Michigan bounced back quickly from a heartbreaker last weekend against Ferris State. The Broncos took 2 wins from their road series at UMass Lowell, shutting out the Riverhawks 6-0 on Saturday. Ty Hendricks and William Whitelaw each picked up 2 goals in the win to give the team a boost before their massive series next weekend that we'll talk about in the Forecheck Forecast. And with conference play just 2 weeks away, let's see who's atop the table in the conference. With no conference games yet so far, Arizona State sits at 2-4-0, followed by Colorado College at 5-1-0, and Denver at 2-1-1. Miami sits undefeated with 4 wins, followed by Minnesota Duluth at 5-1-0, and North Dakota at 3-1-0. Omaha at 500 at 1-1-0, St. Cloud State at 3-2-0, and Western Michigan at 3-1-0. This week's USCHO Poll sees yet another number 1, with Michigan State taking first place with 29 first-place votes, followed by Western Michigan with 9 first-place votes, and Michigan with 11. Boston University drops to 4th, and Penn State heads to 5th with 1 first-place vote. Quinnipiac hops up to 6th, followed by Denver, North Dakota, Boston College, and Maine, rounding out the top 10. UConn, Minnesota, UMass, Ohio State, and Providence bring us to 15, while Colorado College, Wisconsin, Minnesota Duluth, the newcomers at 18, Cornell, and Minnesota State round out the top 20. A few massive non-conference ranked matchups in this week's Forecheck Forecast. First, number 2 Western Michigan and number 3 Michigan play a home-and-home series with the Wolverines hosting on Thursday and the Broncos hosting on Friday. In the Hockey East, number 4 BU and number 11 UConn follow suit with a home-and-home in Boston and Stores on Friday and Saturday. Number 7 Denver heads back to Chestnut Hill for yet another matchup against number 9 Boston College in a single game on Friday night. Finally, number 15 Providence heads to Minnesota for a 2-game set on Friday and Saturday at St. Thomas. That's all for this week on Ice Level. Thanks again so much for coming down, and be sure to keep up with all the news and all the games from this next weekend, because we will have it all next week on Ice Level. We'll be breaking it all down for you when the episode goes up. But for now, I am James Blennau, and we're not experts, but it takes fans to grow the game.